But in the beginning, when I was quoting Feuerbach, so the problem was this of the point of the capability of being developed. Right. So which presupposes a kind of something left unsaid or unclear. So there I was just describing the way I like to work. So I was approaching Foucault from this point of view, so trying to because Foucault, what struck me a lot, Foucault speaks a lot of paradigme épistémologique, but then he never defines what he means by that, and the only occasion in which he could have defined it with respect to Kuhn, as I tried to show, he doesn't. So then it seemed to me that there was a kind of point of possibility of Entwicklung, so that's why I began like that. But then the knowability, we were speaking with the example. I was trying to understand which was which were the term of the paradigmatic relationship. Is it a relationship between, like Aristotle said, a particular object and another particular object? What do they have in common, as Goldsmith tries to understand? I was suggesting what the real relationship is not between an object and another object, but between an object and its knowability. This is the common element, perhaps. That was my idea. So.
But that is a good news. That is a success story. There is a relation between the object and its knowability. What about the bad news? Is there also a relation between the object and its nobility? No. The point is, what the paradigm is us not telling? Where does the paradigm breaks down? That is our question.
This is another very important problem. This depends on the ability of the author. The ability to find and create the good paradigm. No? In order to, it's not given. So in order to make a good investigation, to succeed, you have to find a paradigm of which functions. But so a good paradigm.
Remember what he told you about this forcing. What you have kind of explained tonight was a story of forcing. How this paradigm is forcing. And he made us understood that even if that is an evil thing, not that we can stop it, but at least we should be aware of it. That there is another side, there is a price to pay. That what cannot be named, maybe never be meant to be named. And that we have to protect, not name it. But again, your other work shows that you know that. So
we can find an example for that too.
Okay, we find it. All right, good. Please, everybody. So somebody doesn't go away with this. Victor, I'm sorry. I know you hate to be put on the spot, and I know you for 2 days you were in his class asking him all the questions. But I know you have so many more questions to ask. So my question to you is there a question you didn't dare to ask him in class? Now is the time to do it.
Fine.
No, that's terrible.
No, by the way, we postponed the discussion of the problem of the example exactly because I knew that I was doing the presentation.
Order of things. There are these three, or what are referred to in translation as epistemes. Okay.
As episteme?
Yeah, they're referred to it's not a very good translation, and even the translator's name is not on the order of things when it's translated into English. But they're referred
to which book you refer?
The order of things.
Ah.
They're referred to these, whatever they are, they're not 100-year periods, obviously, but they're referred to as epistemes. Is that a substitute translation for, does he say paradigm in the French version?
No, very, very often Foucault speaks of episteme. Yeah, so
but that's not interchangeable with paradigm.
No, I wouldn't say that, because no, the paradigm is one of the way to build an episteme. No? It has to do, of course, because it speaks of paradigme épistémologique, epistemological paradigm. But then it never defines it. So There's this word coming again and again, and no definition of the paradigm.
Okay, Virginia?
I might be taking this completely out of context, but I'm simply fascinated by the table, which is not a table, and it's beside itself. And I'm wondering if the relations between the table and its knowability is the relation between the table and our ignorance.
Yeah, in a way, it is because we are ignorant of the table, we are trying to understand the table, that we have to employ examples. So in a way, there is this kind of relationship.
So yeah, the dark side is coming in. Yeah.
Underside of the table.
Well, the ignorance, stupidity. Now we are on the same page again. No, that's okay. All right. Some other questions from everybody in class, outside of class. Yeah, please, Mark.
When the example, for example, at the end of your talk, when the example is poetry, when there is this, as you mentioned, this dance of potentiality and actuality, is there something else that happened with the example, perhaps cancelling even the example itself, in a way that it's something potential that withdraws in the poetry?
Do you mean when I take a poem as an example?
Yeah.
In a way, I was not taking the poem of an example because I am convinced that Stevens there gives a definition of the example. No? He says the sun is an example because what it seems it is. So I was not quoting as an example, so to speak, but just in a way, as a definition of what an example is. So then, of course,
exemplary definition.
Yeah, there are exemplary definitions. There are also exemplary punishment.
Yeah, but
there are a lot.
That's exactly the difference. You could have given us this definition in plain words, but you chose a poem. You chose a singularity which has actually nothing to do, has not the function of giving you a definition. You kind of exploited it, nicht? Took it out of context, made it a piece of you. Wallace Stephen will rotate in his grave, I'm sure. But that means that was your paradigm. You made a paradigmic use of it. Put it parallel.
But I mean, I think that you agree that we always make use of examples. It's the most common thing we do. But this has no clear epistemological status. So that's why I tried to. This is just a beginning. I think it's a very important thing to try to construct an epistemology of the example, because we always use examples. We do it always.